All right, RudeReport.tv. We are set and live. All right, guys, welcome. RudeReport.tv is where we want you guys to head. You get to be able to see absolutely everything you possibly can with the best angles. We've got different pieces of equipment here that we can work with in order to see it. However, what we need to see is
Florida.
all the angle that we have here.
Georgia, Kentucky.
All right, guys. Here in just a couple moments, we're going to actually start with the equipment and stuff, or that the script itself, if you will.
You want to do that. And also by comparing to the enthusiasm about the president in some areas that he did very well in Kentucky.
Underrunning his totals. We also want to look at how Mitch McConnell's doing versus Donald Trump. I mean, as for me, as a Republican, I'm equally concerned about holding the United States Senate and making sure that if whatever happens to the top of the ticket, we at least have a check on Joe Biden if Joe Biden was to be the president. So looking at how McConnell runs versus Trump and whether senators are running better than Trump.
All right, guys, we are live on YouTube. Once again, every 30 minutes, we are going to be doing a follow party on TikTok.
We'll be seeing what's going on in Indiana.
Are they telling us who's up in the polls at the moment? Currently, we don't really know anybody just yet. In 6 minutes, well, 6.5, 6:19 is when the polls are going to be starting to actually close themselves. Throughout the evening, we'll be able to find out what polls are looking towards which candidate throughout the evening. Now, one thing I did find out recently, AJ, is that, how's it going? True Roman, welcome. Hello from Florida. Hello from Kentucky. Florida and Pennsylvania actually are one of the only states that actually count their votes as they come in. So we are going to be able to know as time goes along and time gets closer on how close those are going to look. Once again, we're going live on YouTube, and go to RudeReport.tv in order to see it. And we have much more angles outside of this. On TikTok, guys, we are going to be doing a follow party every 30 minutes for about 5 minutes. That way, you all can go ahead and spread your all's, go ahead and get your all's TikTok account up as well.
I just think that we're in a completely different situation psychologically and emotionally, especially for the country.
All right, guys. So we are now at the beginning, and we're just going to start a little early, make it a little easier. How's it going? Billy Forever in my heart. Yes, we are streaming on YouTube there. Alderaan, go to YouTube, RudeReport.tv. It's going to be RudeReport.tv on YouTube. We are already live. We went ahead and started just a hair earlier. Want everybody to go in there, check it out. We are ready to go. Once again, every 30 minutes. Right now, we've got 4 minutes and 45 seconds until these polls close for the first polls closing. And I didn't quite see which one specifically they were. I think I saw. I'm not quite sure what I had seen, which ones I had seen first. Once it comes up, I'll definitely let you guys know. But we are actively streaming right now. What we are going to be doing is we are going to be following every. We got CNN and Fox News we're going to be following. We've also got financial markets we're going to be following down here as well. From there, like globally, like I said, China, Asia, Taiwan, doesn't matter, or not Asia, Australia. It doesn't matter where we're going to do it. We're going to be watching how everybody reacts. We got the one states. Thank you, Supergirl A. How you doing, Billy Everhart? Forever in my heart. We're also going to have different guests on talking about different things, such as the current business environment, economics. We all know that COVID has completely destroyed everything under the sun right now. Fucking right. Hang on just a second, guys. Once again, Rude Report. We're going to be live on RudeReport.tv. Here. All right, guys. TikTok, we are doing a follow party every 30 minutes. Starting at 6 p.m. is when we're starting at 30 minutes, because on RudeReport.tv and on YouTube, we're going to be streaming it as well. Make sure you go on there. Go ahead and check it out. And what we're going to be doing throughout this evening is we're going to be following the election all the way up to about 11 p.m. I might even stay on a little bit longer. We've got different media such as CNN and Fox News. We've got polar opposites for a reason, and we're going to be picking them apart. We already know some of the biases that they're going to be having because we've been fed so much garbage that we already know about. Point being is we're going to be showing bigger media and their aspects of how they're going to try and twist what they say. We also have the financial markets globally that they're going to be showing, and we also are going to have different guests coming on as well to be able to check it out. So it's going to be lots and lots of fun.
What items you need and how you want them.
Just going to go ahead and send one more message. So everybody hop in, start chit-chatting up on TikTok, IG. I know you guys want to. It's election night, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it. Sorry. All right. Like I said, YouTube, we're live on YouTube already. I'm going to get it started a little bit earlier. And actually, as a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you guys see the live stream. All right, cool, guys. All right, so as you can see,
Election Center. We're just minutes away.
Hear that?
From the first result.
Minutes away from the first result. Minutes away from the first result. We get to find out which two of these schmucks is going to run our country for another 4 years, okay? Or possibly for the first 4 years. Another vote, as we know, for Trump is another vote for what the hell's going on here, and another vote for Biden is once again another vote for Obama because he's just a crony, just like the other guys. So the end result is this is going to be a very fun evening. Everybody on TikTok, we're going to do a follow party every 30 minutes, or we're going to, every 30 minutes for 5 minutes. IG, you all are more than welcome to join us over here. Make sure you keep it going. We're going to be here all night until 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're not going anywhere because this is just something that we absolutely love to do. And it's finally the opportunity that we want to have. So let's see here. Let's get rid of this corporate noise. They say we're on uncharted territory. Everybody, I want you to check this out. Listen to this. I'm going to take a step aside one moment, and I'll be right back. Listen to what CNN has to say with their uncharted territory.
This minute, we've been seeing pretty steady streams of people showing up at some of the polling locations that we're monitoring in battlegrounds, including Arizona and Iowa and Michigan, as well as in Georgia, where voting is in its final hour. Our correspondents are getting new information about the campaign strategies in these closing hours. Let's go to Jeff Zeleny. Jeff, what is Team Biden doing right now?
Well, Jake, throughout the day, the turnout reports have really been extraordinary, and the Biden campaign has been watching these with great interest. Of course, the Trump campaign has been as well, because many Republicans have said they intended to vote in person today. But it is those high turnout numbers that is giving some sense of optimism to the Biden campaign, but it is also doing this. I am told that at this hour, the Biden campaign is working to get more votes out, more of their supporters to the
We're listening to, okay, so the first statewide polls close at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's Georgia, Kentucky, Florida. What are the other ones they had said there? So we've got the eastern half of the country starting to close up a little bit.
Between the 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. hour. Who knows if that holds during this moment of the pandemic with so much early voting.
And then it sounds like quite a bit of going on. Let's see. It also says Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia is what Biden says. Biden's advisor, I should say, says are the biggest heads on it, or the biggest options. The biggest challenges, biggest challenges, which is kind of odd because Florida, North Carolina, and Georgia, I mean, they're diverse areas. You know what I mean? So it's kind of odd that those are more of challenges. Now, going back to what we were talking about, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia are, Vermont and Virginia are the ones that are closing. So we got some of this tobacco belt kind of deal, stuff like that. They're going to be closing here very shortly, that CNN says, which is just so beautiful. Which is beautiful, 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 because we are going to be able to start seeing how this election is actually going to pan out. Now, honestly, just in my personal opinion, I firmly believe that there might be a few more people that are going to vote for Trump that won't admit it, or there might be a few more votes. Now, we also have got to take into big consideration the simple fact that there has been a lot of issues with this, these ballots, the mail-in ballots and stuff like that. People. Okay, look, corporate's corporate, right? So there's a lot of money in making sure these things get stretched. I can tell you one thing that happens, right? Over the past 4 months, the Congress and the House have tossed around the stimulus bill, as we all know, because we just haven't gotten paid or anything. You know how many dip buys have been in the stock market in that process? It is very profitable for a rich man to ride out another 2 months of deciding what the election is with uncertainty. Another 10% off the NASDAQ is nothing but the cost of doing business, which means they could get something like Zoom, which is making us being able to stream on 3 platforms. We can stream on 3 different platforms at the same time, bringing you this right from our own home, right? And they can get it for 30% off. Now, when you see that, you're sitting at home right now, you're seeing, we're watching CNN, we're watching Fox News, we're showing you our store here. We're seeing global markets financially on 3 different platforms all at the same time. And we're basically going to be able to bring somebody who's another 80 miles away onto our set through a webcam kind of deal. This is basically a situation where if they wait, you kick that can down the road, they have that opportunity. So the mail-in ballots can pose a situation to where we can continue this argument and also make issues for the next president becoming in, really, regardless of who it is, because either side of either party can do whatever it wants to, really, arguably, to make sure that they don't let somebody in. And yes, mail-in ballots are terrible. Actually, my grandmother, she's worried hers is just going to get lost. There's so many little bitlets of news that are being stuck with the mail-in ballots. They're just talking about somebody throwing them in the trash, right? Like, come on now. Just like we know, just because you don't like somebody, Trump or Biden, doesn't really matter. You're messing with the democratic process here, which this is our whole right. Like wars have been fought with each other, within ourselves. Wars have been fought with each other over that process, and we know, of course, slavery was a huge deal on that as well. We have spent like 300 years making sure that we fine-tune our process. Well, 250, you get the idea. Mail-in ballots, it's risky business, and people are throwing. We have our opportunity here to be actually speak our mind, and people just want to get in the way because it's profitable. It's profitable. Look at this. See these guys? CNN, dude, they suck. Let me go ahead and tell you on the next one. CNN talks so much garbage. Let's go to Fox News because I'm sure they suck just as much.
Joe Biden really hurt himself in Pennsylvania.
Of course, Joe Biden hurt himself. That's what Fox News says. That's what they're always going to say. That's what they always do. You know what I mean? Both of these guys continuously hurt themselves. Now, it's goofiness. Let's go ahead and check in on some of these markets right now. Let's see who's open right now. It looks like Taiwan's open. Taiwan's open, and it's down 1.2%. A little bit of volatility considering this is the U.S. election. This is basically going to determine foreign relations over the next 4 years, if they're going to be open or closed, basically, towards an isolationist stance. A lot of Asia is going to be on their heels kind of thing right now because we all know with the trade war with China, there's a lot of people that aren't friendly with China. That's what happens when you undercut the world several times and devalue your currency, but that's a different story. Whole point being is China runs Asia. Now, if Trump goes in again, it's not going to be a friendly another 4 years for China. There's no way around it. If Biden goes in, they'll probably continue doing the same kind of steel dumping, for instance, where they're undercutting our markets. They're also going to continue the IP theft. They do the same right now anyway, just not to the same degree, because Trump's administration is willing to play hardball for bragging rights, frankly. And honestly, with China, it's got to happen. So once again, guys, we are going live all the way to 11 p.m. right now. Might even go further depending on how long we're allowed to. TikTok, every 30 minutes, we're going to be doing a follow party from 6 p.m. on to 11. Every 5 minutes, or we're going to do it for 5 minutes. We're going to do a follow party every 30. IG, everybody's welcome to join, of course. Go to YouTube. RootReport.tv, Root Report also on. Go ahead and subscribe and follow on everything. We would love for you to. And the first polls are closing in under 1 hour, and that's 53 minutes. Now, let's see what this.
Biden campaign brass now believe they can win the electoral college.
This is Biden in Pennsylvania now, guys.
Battlegrounds: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, and Texas.
We don't need to win them, and that's a true luxury. We don't need to win any of these 4 big states in order to still get to 270 electoral votes.
Michigan's 16 electoral votes are critical enough to get one final visit from Kamala Harris.
The path to determining who will be the next president of the United States, without question, runs through Michigan.
Thank you. Strategy has shifted from only trying to reach people online and on the phone to COVID-era canvassing.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, guys. So we see they talked about big battleground states. I don't know if anybody caught that, but Texas is a very historically conservative right-wing state. So for them to say that it's a battleground state, it's a little kind of probably stretching a little bit. But then again, this year has absolutely been something we haven't seen. There's a lot of individualized opinions that are also quite a bit all over the place. So they basically said they don't need Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, and I believe the last one was Michigan to win the election. Now, they also said the focus went from online campaigning and things like that to more of a COVID-focused social distance thing like that, which there's nothing wrong with, even though their whole party said, we can't vote. We got to do in person. We got to do mail-in ballots. So we can just go ahead and we can campaign in person, but we can't vote in person. That's kind of hypocritical. Don't worry, Trump administration does it also. So right now, the Biden administration says they can get away with not having Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. But a good buddy of mine, Jermaine, also made a very good point about Florida being the ones that count their votes as they come in, and Pennsylvania also. And those are going to be more critical because Pennsylvania flipped last time from typically blue to red in 2016, which is definitely one that's going to take a little bit of more time for us to understand the votes. But that's a big one. That's a big one. They were hit huge in the financial crisis. A lot of steel mills were over there in that time frame. All kinds of stuff. So what's really bad for those guys is after those steel mills and the financial crisis, they got wrecked. Everybody lost their job. Then they got addicted to opiates. And then they see this guy, Trump, who's like, oh, okay, cool. Here's our opportunity to possibly have a change because it hasn't worked out so well. Then we come into fracking, which a lot of companies have gone to Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. Not a whole lot, but it has brought jobs into Pennsylvania. Now, when you talk Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Black Lives Matter is a big thing. It went through different larger cities. That's an area that's had a lot of questions in Pennsylvania. They're not feeling it so much anymore. So that one does seem like it's going to be a lot more of a caveat, I should say. There ain't no telling on that one. Because a lot of people were let down by Trump with how many energy jobs were done. Because another thing that's going to happen is regardless with or without Biden or Trump or whatever climate change plan is going to be in there, capitalism is taking it to climate change. It's very profitable to fix the planet, apparently. Everybody's going to pay for it. It's going to happen regardless. So those people in Pennsylvania are going to be out of those fracking jobs regardless.
Trump's argument to voters was, we're rounding the corner on COVID-19.
Very well possible. I mean, it's very well possible. I mean, I don't really know how many people are exactly working on these rigs with fracking and stuff like that. But I can tell you this much. The economy will adapt to these COVID regulations if you allow it to. If you bring politics into it, all you're doing is hindering progress. And this is guilty from both parties. Both parties are very guilty on it.
Let's start with you. Your thoughts?
I don't really care what to say, but yeah, it's a very good point. AJ Wilson, 767. The economy is definitely proven it will.
Manager for Joe Biden was talking about that they could win 207 electoral votes without a number of states. One of the states they said they could win without was Florida. Another state they said they could win without was Pennsylvania. Both seemed a little curious.
Well, they just said they can win without them all.
They are a little bit cautious about Florida.
See what I'm talking about, guys.
Going into
God.
They say there has been heavy Trump turnout, which we always expected on election
All right, let's
day.
see. Heavy Trump.
They say, well, they considered a toss-up. They might not put it in the Biden column. Interestingly, they are talking instead of Florida about Georgia. We'll get the polls will close there. We'll start to get results.
Go ahead and see what Fox News says for a couple minutes.
They think that they look good in Florida, or rather Georgia. They also talk about North Carolina. They also talk about Arizona as a state they could take instead of Florida. And then Wisconsin and Michigan and Nebraska, too, a single electoral vote in the Omaha area of Nebraska. Now, you didn't hear Pennsylvania mentioned there. It's not that they're pessimistic about Pennsylvania. It's just that there isn't the kind of huge early vote there. People vote in Pennsylvania on election day, so they don't have as much data on what's going to happen there.
Brett, the Trump campaign seems confident.
All right, so I don't know if anybody heard that entirely, but it looks like the Trump. Okay, so Pennsylvania is going to be a hell of a swing state. It looks like, because not only do those votes come in as they're being counted, it's also a Trump or a state that doesn't typically they're not voting early. So it's going to be towards the end of the evening, or maybe a little bit later into tomorrow, when we're like all of a sudden, hey, whoa, what the hell just happened here? You know, very could be very, very interesting. So we've got Closing polls at 8 p.m. Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Maine, Missouri, Mississippi, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Tennessee, and D.C. So it looks like a bunch of the right half of the country is going to be closing at 8 p.m. Now, in 45 minutes is whenever the first states, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them are starting to be closed here soon. We'll have to see how that goes on. But as it stands right now, a lot of it's just playing the waiting game, guys. This country's got a lot of different things that are going to happen regardless of whatever candidate's in it. A lot of people think a lot of social unrest is going to happen. I'd like to think not so much, because at one point, what's the point? We've already been killing each other all year. I like to think and believe that the people are just tired of that anywhere and are going to move forward regardless with their lives specifically. It's absolutely ridiculous how long we let one specific person run our lives, but only we can bring our own change, right? And I really, really hope and wish and pray that people would actually do that for themselves this year. It doesn't matter. Regardless who comes in, Trump, Biden, doesn't matter. Money's going to be made in technology, climate change, all of it. You know what I mean? It's going to be a situation like, in my opinion, Bill Clinton, like the area, not the politics, the time frame. The internet came out then. The internet got good then. There's going to be a time frame where a lot of people are going to get jobs in the climate change area and AI. Like, you're going to adapt or you're not. You know what I mean? And it sucks, but it's something we definitely have to think about. We definitely have to focus on. A lot of people got families and they're just not doing right. It's not very good. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it on up a little bit more while we go ahead and see what Fox News says, because they're talking about Georgia being a battleground state.
Simply the order in which the vote is being counted. There could be
not traditionally a thing.
Biden has a big lead.
What's going on, Kenny Wilson?
Where they count the early vote. They've been counting the early vote for weeks in Florida, and you'll see a big dump of that early in the evening, and then we'll start to see the day of voting, and that's going to favor Trump. And again, you'll see Biden's big lead begin to erode. Whether it'll hold this or not, we'll see. But we just have to be patient and understand that until all the votes are counted, we're not going to know who has won that state.
But the turnout overall is pretty stunning. I mean, we could be approaching 67, 68% of the eligible voters showing up to vote either early or on election day. It's more than a century. 1876, they had 81% of the vote back then. It took them 4 months to certify that vote. We're really hoping that it's not going to take that.
Yeah, and it'd be quite something, wouldn't it, if a nation still trying to grapple with this pandemic manages to turn out in record numbers to vote on this election day at a moment when the pandemic is believed by many to be getting worse as we go along and cases are up and so on. So that's certainly something to take into consideration. And it, of course, emerges, as it has, as the single issue affecting the vote. The economy is a close second, but the pandemic is number one. And so we'll obviously be watching throughout the course of the evening to see how that plays out, whether Trump gets as bad marks on it as many think, and whether he gets as good marks as many think on the economy.
I just did some
research. Now that was a very good objective view, guys.
Americans voted. That is the recent.
You're talking about how most Americans definitely understand and believe that the pandemic is getting worse, which it is. I mean, we've seen the statistics. We've seen the numbers go up. Like, this is not a debate. We know things are getting worse. Fortunately, when I went to the voting booths the other day, people were they weren't socially distancing, but they were wearing masks, so at least there's that positive. But he brought a very objective view. COVID probably going to be number one. One out of every 5 in this country is over 50. So there's a lot of risk there. It's a lot of our family. That's a lot of our money. That's a lot of the concentration of wealth. That's a lot of jobs. A lot of people that are in that that run those companies. A lot of people that provide for families there. So COVID's very important that we make sure that we get out of that situation. We will probably get some final results are going to be a little difficult to tell when we're going to get there, Bud, because December doesn't sound crazy just because of the mail-in ballot situation. Like I was stating earlier, it's very profitable to wait. Like, this next 2 years, if they legitimately say, it's like a trial, right? Well, we requested the motion be denied or whatever. You know what I mean? They can keep kicking this can down the road until at one point it has to be done. And the whole point is they can't kick it down too far, because that's just going to leave Trump in there again from somebody who would want to keep it leaving or who would want to try and get him out of there. Whole point being is it may be till December until we actually see the results. I mean, you know, that's a lot of counting. And then you're also talking about all these news stories of people throwing the votes out and things like that, like just grabbing handfuls that work in the election, getting kicked out or throwing stuff away. There's going to be a lot of politics after tonight. And when I say a lot of politics, it's once again a bunch of people that are going to be left in the dark by 6 guys who can't figure out their own, can't figure it out. You know what I mean?
Choose which store to shop.
But, you know, what do we expect anyway?
And a shopper will safely deliver them contact-free and as fast as
I personally feel like, just my personal opinion, December might be pushing it a little bit too long as far as when we'll expect results. But I'll tell you this much, is if it's a landslide, it ain't going to matter. Biden or Trump. If it's an absolute landslide, it does not matter who wins, or it doesn't matter. These mail-in ballots aren't going to matter, like the debate of them, because it's an absolute landslide. Now, if it's close, we can see December until trying to figure out when it's going to be done.
This is my first time using medicine, and I recommend this process to anyone. The total experience was amazing. I couldn't be happier with the product.
At RexMD.com, we've made the
So we'll see.
fast, easy, and affordable.
We'll see.
Visit
It kind of depends.
RexMD.com.
Even the flu shot. People with weakened immune
But you know how much people suck. All right, so let's see here. The national opinion here. They're giving different questions that Fox News has asked, and different people. So on crime, Trump administration, shit. All right, so congressional job rating, approve 24%, disapprove 76. Trump ain't gonna drain a swamp.